As you've moved through your awakening journey, many of you may have stumbled upon the term ascension and begun to wonder, what does this mean? Everybody seems to be talking about it, and yet nobody is explaining the nuts and bolts of what this process is, why and how it is occurring. In this video, I am going to share with you everything you need to know about the planetary ascension cycle that the Earth is currently going through, and with her, all of the beautiful beings upon her. The ascension is essentially a process of rising in frequency or consciousness. And as we rise in frequency and consciousness, we move into another dimension of beingness, as all dimensions are simply different levels of frequency and vibration. You may have heard a lot of people refer to the third dimension, using the energies 3D and 5D. What these mean is the third dimensional reality or construct that we have been operating in for the last 26,000 years. And the higher dimensions, higher simply meaning of a higher frequency. Not necessarily any better or worse, although as we are going to learn in this video, it is certainly a different and more harmonious experience as we begin moving up through these dimensions. That's because each dimension connects to a higher frequency of love light and a deeper connection to source energy, or a more conscious awareness and ability to operate within that remembrance and connection. We are all part of source energy, and so we can never truly be separated from it unless we choose. And very few beings in the multiverse have ever chosen this. In this video, we're going to talk about those who did and the consequences of that, because that choice that they made is directly connected to what's going on the planet at this time and the intensity of this particular ascension. Every 26,000 years upon this planet, we have an opportunity to ascend into a higher level of consciousness. And during the times of Lemuria and Atlantis, this is exactly what was happening. The Earth was not originally a 3D planet, as many believe. She was actually originally a 5D planet, a fifth dimensional planet, a beautiful crystalline matrix or blueprint where all beings from all over the multiverse could come and live together harmoniously. And the ways that we did that and the ways that that was achieved are for a different video. So for today, we're simply going to say that it was a beautiful melting pot of galactic energies from all over the multiverse. And we were in the process of ascending from the 5D consciousness into the 6D consciousness. What happened at that time was that a choice was made by some of the priests and priestesses of Atlantis to partner with a darker energy, an energy that did decide consciously to sever its connection to source love light energy in order to have a different experience and to gain more power and control, not wanting to be bound by the sacred laws of the universe, wanting to essentially go at it on its own and see if it could become more powerful than the energy that created it. And so these entities spread through the multiverse like a virus, consuming everything within their path, because though they no longer contained love light, they still needed it in order to survive. They came to this universe and attempted to consume it as well. And that is the time that we are in right now and have been for the last 26,000 years. So these priests and priestesses, in the desire for more power themselves, perhaps through forms of trickery as well, consented to allying themselves with these archons, with these dark ones, these beings from this other universe. And as they consented to that, this energy, which as we said is like a virus, spread throughout the people and throughout the planet. effectively reducing us from a 5th dimensional consciousness down to a 3rd dimensional consciousness or construct. And I mentioned in the Lionsgate portal video, I do believe, how the earth herself, because the free will choice had been made by the peoples upon her that came to learn and grow, allowed herself to descend into this 3rd dimensional construct because we are a part of her and she cannot be in a different frequency than us. She had to descend with us. So she made that sacrifice for her children, for those beings who were incarnated upon her. And we began this past 26,000 year cycle. This cycle where these archons, these dark ones, gained more and more access and control of this dimension and essentially trapped us in repeating cycles of karma where our souls were essentially, or have been essentially just recycled lifetime after lifetime, right back into the matrix, this inverted matrix, this flipped around matrix, right? And they feed not only off of our light, but off of our trauma, off of our pain. And they attach, as well as the other entities and beings that they are allied with, to our consciousness in order to further densify us and continue to not only keep us from remembering who we are, but to cause us to act and behave in many of the dark ways that you see happening all around the world. I know one of the most common reasons that people don't believe in God or source creator consciousness of any kind is that they look at the world around them and they say, if there was a true benevolent force, why would people harm each other this way? Why would all this suffering and trauma exist? What kind of benevolent force would allow this? And so that is a distortion of humanity and of organic life. And that distortion has been spurred on by these entities. Right? We see the effects of what happens when something that has given up its love light is essentially in charge of the show. And this is not to put people in a victim consciousness. A lot of people are resistant to this type of material and understanding because they feel as though if we say everything that I just said, we are making ourselves victims and we're saying, no, it's not our fault. It's all out of our control. That's not true. We chose to descend. Many of us, there are those who are trapped in these cycles, and there are also those of us, and we reference this in the 3 Waves of Volunteers video, who heard the call as the earth decided it was time for her to ascend in this next cycle, the cycle that we're in right now, that heard this call from her and incarnated upon to assist in this process, all right? And they all chose to be here too. We all chose at one time or another. And we are not victims. We are not powerless unless we allow ourselves to be. Unless we pretend that what's going on isn't going on and refuse to face it. It's just the same thing as refusing to face our shadow, right? In some way, we can almost see this as a giant outer display of the shadow, right? Facing the shadow. So when we're willing to do, if we don't do the shadow work, if we don't look within ourselves, if we don't access the trauma and heal the trauma and the belief systems that trauma created, then we're going to continue to act out the same cycles over and over again in our own lives, right? We're going to have the same experience because we're still repeating the same programming. We have to acknowledge the trauma, the programming, the limited belief systems within us in order to grow beyond them. It's the same thing with this energy. We can pretend it's not there. We can say, well, I'm not a victim. That's just copying out. That's just putting the blame on somebody else. That's not really, everything is beautiful and love, light, right? And a lot of people separate love, light. They say light and love. Not all that is of the light is of the love. So we want to say love, light, right? They want to pretend that everything's good, everything's beautiful. Don't focus on the bad because you give it more power. If you focus all of your emotional intensity and you fixate on an energy, you do make it more powerful. But if you simply view an energy from a space of neutrality, you bring it into your awareness and you refuse to consent to it, and you begin the process of shifting out of it, You don't give it more power. When we ignore something, it gives it power because it's able to operate under the cover of darkness. The greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing the world he didn't exist. Right? So, and I'm not saying these energies of the devil is a made up concept, right? The devil was a constructed concept. Even those within certain echelons of society who believe they are worshiping the devil, and this country is run by people who believe that they are Satanists, right? What they're actually worshiping and giving power to is the archons, is these dark beings. The devil doesn't exist. Hell doesn't exist. This is the closest thing we're going to get to hell right now, what we're living through. We have descended essentially into a hell dimension, and we are ascending out of that. That is part of what this process of ascension is. It's reclaiming our sovereignty. But we cannot reclaim our sovereignty if we don't first acknowledge where it was given away. Right? This reminds me of another one of my favorite quotes, which is, the most hopelessly enslaved are those who falsely believe that they are free. That's where humanity has been at for a long time. Being given the illusion of choice, but really, if you only have a choice between A and B, and we can see this, for instance, in our political system, right? Bad choice A and bad choice B are really not choices at all. They're two options which serve the same energy. Our choice comes when we do like we just said, when we reclaim our sovereignty, when we realize that there are an infinity of choices available to us. Once we move out of the limited framework that we have been taught to exist within, when we choose our ascension, when we choose to look these energies in the eye, to acknowledge that they exist and to say, I do not consent to you. That is not the reality that I choose to operate within. This is when true choice and true free will are restored. This is where true sovereignty is restored. So this is a choice that is available to each and every single one of us right now. There is a process that is happening and has been happening since 2012, with a resurgence of this energy and a deepening of this energy in 2020, 2021. And this is something that we talked about in the Lionsgate video as well. The beginning of the bifurcation of the earths. And we talked about how 2020, 2021 was actually 2012 in the Ethiopian calendar, which is a calendar that begins with Yeshua's birthday and operates in and within the moon cycles. A very beautiful, powerful calendar. So in 2012, and then earnestly again and even more powerfully in 2020, 2021, you could say, the earth began this process of ascending herself. And she began it through the bifurcation or the splitting of herself. So at this time on this planet, we have multiple versions of the earth, multiple dimensions of the earth available to us to tap into through shifting our vibration, frequency, and consciousness. We have the third dimensional earth. We have the fifth dimensional earth. And they are at this point, because they began as one, as the third dimension, right? The earth descended into the third dimension. And she's beginning this process of bifurcating or splitting herself. And as this splitting occurs, it looks like a vesica Piscis, or some know it as a Venn diagram, where you have in the middle the fourth dimension, connecting the third and the fifth dimensions. And every time the earth bifurcates, and this happens on these portal dates, this also happens during some of the eclipses and these powerful planetary cycles, the splitting gets bigger and the divide, the distance between the third and the fifth dimension grows larger, meaning each becomes more pronounced. And this is what we can see in all the world around us, as some of the world seems to be even more deeply entrenched in this 3D energy, in this energy of us versus them, in this energy of misery and hatred, right? We see that, but we also see all of the beauty of the fifth dimension as more people begin to awaken and choose that higher consciousness. And those of us who came in to assist in this process of the ascension of the planet most often find ourselves in the fourth dimension, straddling both worlds, so to speak. So we can still connect with the people in the 3D and help to awaken and activate them when they are ready, bridge them, help to be the bridge that connects them to that 5D by assisting them in the evolution of their consciousness. Right? So it's a beautiful process, and eventually the earths will split apart. But you can imagine this almost as a birthing process. And as they split, the sixth dimension is actually birthed out, the original dimension that we were getting ready to ascend out into before the fall of Atlantis. So it's a really, really beautiful process. And it's up to each and every single one of us which experience we want to choose. We talk about this sometimes as timelines, right? And timelines are different realities that exist simultaneously. You can think about timelines. A real simple way to understand timelines is to imagine that every time you make a choice or decision, another universe, almost another dimension, branches off from that, another timeline where you made a different choice. All of those possibilities of life are existing simultaneously. Every version of you that could ever possibly be is existing simultaneously. The one that you are consciously present on is the one that has all of your attention and focus, and the one that you are most vibrationally aligned to. This is why when we talk about switching timelines, we talk about it's all about switching our frequency and our perspective, our consciousness, to align with that version of ourselves that already exists. Likewise, there are many timelines for ascension. We have an infinity of timelines for our own personal ascension. And the earth has her own timelines for ascension as well, including the one that is lit up right now, the one that is most actively being engaged with, that is the vibrational match. And there are also an infinity of timelines in these lower dimensions as we make the lower dimensional choices, which essentially means choosing things that are not for our highest good or the highest good of those around us, choosing things that are not chosen out of love, right? In service to self versus in service to others. And yes, our own healing and evolution is service to others, because as we heal, the planet heals. All right, so it's not selfish to do your own healing work. That's actually service of both, which is a really beautiful place to be when you're serving yourself and you're serving others, because you are part of the collective and you are making highest choices for yourself, which naturally align with the highest choices for humanity. So it's really beautiful. We're not going to get into all of that right now, except to say that much. But we have all these different timelines, all of these different versions, and these different paths that lead to the same end result. So we get to choose which earth we're aligned with, which version of us, which timeline of us we are aligned with, and the timeline of our own ascension. And all of our individual choices about the timeline for our own ascension creates the collective timeline for ascension. And this is always shifting and changing. This is why people who claim to read your future, it's such a difficult thing to do, because all they're reading is the most likely timeline concerning the choices that you're making and where your vibration is aligned with and the likelihood of the trajectory of that. But we can switch that at any time. All right, and the planets are great guides to guide us along this journey, which is why I focus so strongly on the planets and the astrology on this channel. It's a powerful, powerful way to navigate this ascension process, which is essentially you choosing that highest timeline, you choosing that version of yourself that is ascending, that is reclaiming their beingness, reclaiming that highest, most organic timeline. Now, in this process of ascension, and I apologize for any background noise right now. I have a young child. I have a small house. There's a lot going on here. In this process, as we continue to make these choices, it's not just our internal world and therefore our external world that is shifting and changing. It's not just our timelines that are shifting and changing. Our physical body is shifting and changing as well. We are evolving from a carbon-based life form in this third dimension into a crystalline-based life form, realigning with that crystalline blueprint for the earth herself and all of creation upon her. This is an intense process. This is where you hear a lot about what people call ascension symptoms, which is essentially this process of integrating these light codes, these activations, this process, right? Your light body shifting and changing and evolving, your physical body getting lighter, because we are taking our bodies with us in this ascension, which is pretty unprecedented in and of itself. Another reason this is such a big deal, aside from the fact that we are breaking free from the inverted matrix, which is huge. Not just some of us, but all of us. Some people will go on to other planets of a certain density if they choose that, but we are breaking people free from the control of the archons, which is huge. But in this process, we are taking these bodies with us, but they're becoming lighter. They're not going to be the density and the heaviness that they are now. That's why it's so important to begin to follow what your body wants. It's going to want more water. It's probably going to want more sunlight, more oxygen, because these things help with the activation of our DNA and our light bodies. It may want less dense foods. So pay attention to what your body is asking for you. Pay attention to what your spirit is asking of you as well, because your spirit, like we said, or I think we said, I can't really recall, but as we move through this process and we start shifting and changing, our vibration starts rising, we're suddenly not aligning with the perspectives that we used to, the people that we used to, the places that we used to. Many people may feel called to move, to change friend groups, to change jobs. Many people may experience a period of isolation where they feel cut off from the rest of society because they don't resonate with the people that they used to, but they haven't met or called in their soul tribe yet, the people that they will resonate with on this new frequency. And this alone period is really a period of initiation in and of itself, where we're forced to go inward to connect more with our own higher self, to connect more with our spiritual guides. There are some people who say you shouldn't connect with your guides. That's false light teachings. Our guides are there to guide us, to be of assistance to us. We're all beautiful divine fractals of source consciousness. So the archangels, the ascended masters, we can connect our lineage directly back to them if we go back far enough. So they are emanations of us. We are emanations of them. It is not bad. It is not searching outside ourselves to connect with them. They are here to assist us and guide us if we allow them. Ultimately, what they do is the same thing that any spiritual teacher or mentor who is worth their salt will do. And that is reconnect us, help us reconnect to our own hearts, to our own internal guidance, to our own higher self. So work with them, allow them into your heart, ensure that they are of benevolence, right? Make that a requirement, because there are lots of other entities out there that will try to mimic the energy of our guides, of our own higher selves even. And I'm going to get more into the entities in other videos. So we're not going to get too deep into the different types of entities in this one, except to say that they do exist. They're all, many of them, not all of them. Some of them are disembodied souls and such, but many of them are working toward this ultimate agenda. This agenda of the enslavement of humanity. Essentially, like turning us into, as we have been for quite some time, an all-you-can-eat buffet. All right. But it doesn't work as we remember the beauty of who we are and how powerful we are. That transcends everything. So allow that process to unfold. Know and understand that you are a being of unlimited potential. You have 12 strands of DNA, not just 2. And those other strands are unlocking and activating right now. As they do, they are unlocking and activating more of your dormant soul gifts and abilities and connecting you more to your higher self, to your highest consciousness, to the highest expression of you. Choose every day to align with that by following your heart, by making the choices that are the most aligned for you, for the highest good of yourself and the highest good of others. It's really that simple. That's really all we have to do. I will be here as always, assisting you in navigating through this process, sharing with you all that I know, all that I am, as Aurora likes to say, at this time, knowing that my understanding continues to grow and evolve as well. And as it does, I will continue to share it with all of you. I know this was a lot to take in this video. It's probably very different from a lot of the other Ascension videos that you may have watched. What happens is that we get a deeper understanding as we continue to move through this process. I got to a certain point in my journey where I really wanted to share with people what was going on here. And I asked my higher self, I said, listen, in order to share this knowledge with people, I have to really understand what's happening here. So please show me what is really going on. And that's when the next level of my spiritual awakening happened. That's when I learned a lot of this information that I'm sharing with you all right now that I am continuing to learn. And I went through my own dark night of the soul around that. I knew that there was a lot of corruption, a lot of darkness. I knew a lot about what people call conspiracy theories and stuff like that, or I thought I did. But there's a whole underbelly of that I didn't fully know. And it was a lot to take in. And I had to work through that to get to the point where I'm ready to begin sharing this knowledge with you all now. And there's going to be a lot of people that don't resonate with this. There's also going to be a lot of people that do, and this video is for those who do. It's also for those who don't. If you're still watching this, I love you, I honor you, I respect you, and it's okay if this doesn't resonate right now. It's okay if you have a very strong reaction to this. If it's meant for you to delve into at this time, then you will know. And if it's not, then it's not, and that's fine. Just continue working, continue healing, continue growing. That is the majority of what this channel is all about. It's about the ways that we grow and heal, the ways that we release and shed the programming and the traumas. All of that looks the same, regardless of whether you believe this next layer or unfoldment of these energies. This is something that's just coming back into our awareness now, right? We are shown bits and pieces as a collective as we are meant to as well. The beginnings of these understandings came from Dolores Cannon. Well, from many sources, but we're going to look at Dolores Cannon. She was the founder of QHHT, Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. She, along with a few others, Michael Newton, I actually found before her, began this process of regressing people back to the soul level and gathering information through the hypnosis sessions. And at the time that she was alive, she was just bringing through the forefront of some of this knowledge. So she was given more of the understanding of the original blueprint for creation and for this planet. That was a lot for people to take in. Now, with aura hypnosis healing, raw Reiki entity removal, we're able to get a deeper look at things. We're being shown a deeper level because humanity is ready to see it. Not all of humanity, but some. And this is the next layer that we have to understand in order to achieve what we came here to do. To raise ourselves up, to be the phoenix, to rise from the ashes, stronger and more empowered and more vibrant than ever. Thank you for being on this journey with me. All the souls that are present on this at this time on this planet are so beautiful and so courageous. This is truly a very coveted experience, believe it or not, because of the magnitude of what we're doing here. Ascending out of the false matrix, ascending as a planet in these physical vessels. And as this planet ascends, she is a key energy that allows the universe, this universe that we exist within, to ascend as well. So this is big, big stuff. It's really big that you're here. You may be feeling overwhelmed. You may be feeling like it's all too much. We all feel that way from time to time, but just remember, your soul knew that you would be here right now. Your soul knew that you would be strong enough, that you would succeed. And your soul still believes in you. I believe in you. All of the beautiful benevolence, the Council of 12, Yeshua, Mother Mary, everybody believes in you. There was a really beautiful message. I think I'm going to end with this that I channeled once from Source Creator Energy. And it said very simply, you are a part of me. If you do not believe in you, then essentially you do not believe in me. So if you believe in me, if you believe in my strength, my love, my beauty, then you must also believe and understand that that same strength lies within you. Until we meet again.